Well, it's Chords and Coffee. Take you a quick drink this morning. Chords and Coffee. It occurred to me that, by the way, I'm drinking water. I didn't want to lie to you. I'm doing a no caffeine thing just for a little while, but I will be back on the caffeine bandwagon. But I need to do that just for my own personal health. So there's that. Too much information, probably not for Chords and Coffee. What is Chords and Coffee? It occurred to me the other day, somebody said, they just asked me flat out, what are you doing? What are you trying to do with this? And I hadn't really thought about it much past the fact that I just wanted to encourage folks. I wanted to be a positive influence out there on the internet. Look, I realize, I have no misconceptions. I am a, solitary little flicker of lights out there in a ocean of internet talking heads. I get that. But if you happen to land on this for the next 20 minutes, maybe, if you'll let me, I'm going to encourage you. I want to talk to you like I'm talking to you. Therefore, I want to, build a positive relationship with you where, hopefully I'm giving you something that helps you connect with other musicians, other guitar players even. It's funny, a lot of times guitar players, we kind of get this weird stigma, other than, not being able to read music thing, which is funny, but also, just don't play well with other guitar players. It's kind of the stigma with guitar players because we tend to be kind of competitive. We always want to know who's the fastest, wherever. At least I should say it's a phase I feel like all of us go through. Unless you get started later in life and you're mature enough and your ego has been broken enough, like a good horse, right? To where you're just kind of over that, But, guitar players want to be like these Billy the Kid, lone desperados, wandering into town looking for the gigs so they can prove that they're the hot hand in town or whatever. And I don't know. Not interested in that. Just not. But I will tell you what I am interested in is making connections with people, building relationships, being an encourager, and being the kind of influence that makes encouragement contagious. So with that, if you're watching this for the first time, that's what we're up to over here. And these Chords and Coffee episodes are dictated, the syllabus is written by the comments from the folks that have watched the previous episodes. And so here lately, I've had a few people say, hey man, it'd be kind of cool if you did a little explanation of what you're doing on that outro to Layla. The song Layla, Derek and the Dominoes, right? That the original one, the Eric Clapton Unplugged version is very good. Don't get me wrong. That's awesome. That is its own, wonderful thing to learn. But that outro, and I think the drummer wrote that. Somebody say something in the comments if you know the story on who wrote this song. But that outro is beautiful. I think the first time I truly paid attention to it, I'm just going to tell you honestly, it was the movie Goodfellas. There's that scene where it comes on and they're like, they're basically, everybody's, turning up dead, kind of morbid. But, Martin Scorsese knows how to use a cool song. And he did that movie, right? I think so, yeah. Anyway, powerful, beautiful tune. I'm going to show you how I came up with this arrangement, and I'm going to show you how to play it. If you try to play along with the record, full disclosure, I don't think the record is at 440. I believe Tom Dowd was the guy that produced that. And I don't know if they just tuned to the piano, and the piano was tuned to whatever it was tuned to. But anyway, nonetheless, when you try to play with the record, you're going to be like, something's off. It's the record. But it sounds great, so who cares, right? Beautiful song. Simply put, what you got is it's in the key of C. And by the way, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about on this arrangement, I did a demo for Amplified Nation. It's on the Palen Music channel. Just go find the Amplified Nation Overdrive Reverb demo. And that's where I played this. And if you've been watching Chords and Coffee, you know that there was several Chords and Coffees ago where I did a thing where it's like a backing track where it was like a blues jam-along thing. And it was because we were having recitals at the store. And I said, hey, let's do a recital together. And at the end of it, I said, now I'm going to do a recital for you. And I had just come up with this arrangement. It was still hot out of the oven. The cookies hadn't quite set up yet, you know what I mean? And so there was a couple mistakes in there. And there's a couple mistakes in the demo, for sure. But I'm going to at least show you, you know, what I was trying to do, all right? So this is Outro to Layla. It's in the key of C, okay? And the basic chords are C over E, and then this F with this beautiful little melody. And at the end of the arrangement, I actually just play this. So that's just a C chord. Just good old cowboy C, index finger on the first fret of the B, open G string, middle finger on the second fret of the D, and then ring finger on the third fret of the A. Now for an easy C over A, or C first inversion, if you want to think of it that way too, you just play the open E. The only issue with that is that oftentimes, to my ear anyway, that open E is a little too growly. It's a little too unrestrained. It kind of gets out from underneath you, right? So a lot of times this ends up kind of becoming the jam, right? We'll get to that in a second, but that's the next chord in there. And then this little melody, open E, first fret of the E, and then that G on the third fret, right? And then an F. And walk it right back down. So F, just, you know, index finger across the first two strings, so the E string and the B string, first fret. Middle finger on the second fret of the G, ring finger on the third fret of the D. And then the pinky is going to play the high E on the third fret. And then take it off and just play what you're already holding down. And then take that finger up, so now you got an open E string. And then now press your pinky on the third fret of the B on that D note. And that's the melody. Right? So I'm really kind of showing you the back half of the song at this point. That last chord, this is a B flat 9. And normally I would play it like this, just because, you know, if I'm playing a 9 chord, I'd play it like that, where you have an open D, because this would be holding this down. Does that make sense? Like if this is C9, I just scoot it back. But the problem is I've got to play this melody. So I got to kind of play it like this. And for those of you playing the home game that are like, why does that chord sound so good? It's a substitution for an F minor. It's a substitution for the minor 4. It's basically an F minor over B flat. But there's a little bit more going on than that. So you've got index finger on the first fret of the A. You've got an open D string. And then you've got middle finger on the first fret of the G, and then ring finger first fret of the B. And then the melody starts on the G, and just play what you're holding down. So first fret of the G, first fret of the B, and then your pinky's going to play the third fret of the B string, so that D note. And then an open E. And then back to that D, and then back to the C on the first fret of the B, and then first fret of the G on that A flat, or yeah, G sharp A flat, and then now that's what I do at the end of the tune, and that's also the basic chords to the meat of the song. There's a B section, and we'll get to it in just a second. But what I'm doing at the beginning of a tune is I'm sort of plucking it to try to make it sound piano-like. So just kind of grabbing the strings all at once, and I'm playing a C. You can also play the C with the G in the bass, but good old cowboy C works great too. Now this guy, this is like the Wind Cries Mary, this kind of grip, where you've got your index finger on the 5th fret of the D, the G, and the B, holding down that C triad there. Those 3 notes make a C triad. And then a ring finger on the 7th fret of the E. Now you might be saying, well, why not go ahead and play the low E? This is too much. You know what I mean? That's too much applesauce next to them pork chops. Right? Too much. So, now that little move there. So all that's happening there is I'm taking that same C over E grip that I just showed you, and I'm strumming down all the way down to the strings, and then plucking with my middle finger on the B string, like that. See that? And then playing this melody. So F, E, G, just like we did here. Or excuse me, E, F, G, E, F, G, right? And when I get to, and I'm by the way, I'm picking that with my fingers. Every now and then the little ring jumps in there. He can't help it. But the second time I play that G, then my ring finger slides up from that E note to the F. So from the 7th fret to the 8th fret on the A. And then this, you have to kind of switch your fingers. And I'll show you what I'm doing there. So once I go, and I walk this down, and I'm just kind of arpeggiating that and trying to keep that F note going through the whole thing. Right when you get to that E right there, the little cheat code there is, and then I switch my pinky right here so that these guys can come down and play that little lovely booger right there. And all that's happening there is pinky's on the 8th fret, holding down the F on the A string, 8th fret of the A with pinky. And then middle finger is on the 7th fret of the D, ring finger is on the 7th fret of the G, and then index finger is on the 5th fret of the B. So, switch. Somehow that makes it way easier. Now for this part, I'm playing a B flat 7 to start with my index finger doing nothing. And what's happening is I've got my middle finger, index finger's doing nothing at this point. Middle finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the low E, skipping the A. Ring finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the D, and then pinky is going to be on the 7th fret of the G. And I'm going to play those, and then starting on the D string with the melody. And this little move here is, so this guy right here is playing the first note of the melody, and then your index finger comes to the 5th fret of the G. And then so 5, 7 on the G, just like you're playing A minor pentatonic. Right? So, one more time, 6th fret of the D string, 5th, 7 on the G, and that is with index and pinky. Your pinky's already kind of used to being there from that earlier chord shape, right? And then index hits the B string on the 5th fret for that E note, and then back to the pinky, and then back to the 5th fret of the G, and then back to the D on the 6th fret, and then to the C. And so what's happening is, it's like I'm holding down a B flat 7 sharp 11. I know it's a mouthful, but it's just a B flat 7 chord that's got an E in it, which is, it's the same situation that we did earlier, But the difference is because of where this is located on the neck, and there's not the open D string that's down low, as opposed to. Let me do it one more time. Same chord, it's just a little bit different grip. And what's nice about doing it down here, that when you go down to that C, I feel like it's a really, really nice resolution. So you do that again. And if you listen to that Amplified Nation video, you'll hear that I do that twice. And the second time when I get to, you might also end up putting your pinky when you come back to it. So this is after. And there's like a, sometimes I'll put my pinky on the G note of the 3rd fret of the high E, just for fun. And instead of doing this, I'm going to do this. So listen. All right. So what's happening there? These are just thirds. And what I'm doing is when I get to this C over E, I'm with these two fingers on the D and the B string. That's all they're doing. And this pick isn't doing anything for that first 1, 2, 3 chord grip. So 5 and 5 on the D and the B string, and then 7 and 6, and I'm using my middle on the 6th fret of the B, and then my ring is on the 7th fret of the D, and then just slide that up a whole step. So 8 and 9 on the 8 on the B, 9 on the D, and then put your index finger now down on the 8th fret of the A on that F. And then I slide up to the 10th fret. And this is kind of an embellishment of the melody. It's my own little thing, but now it's yours. Enjoy it if you like. And so what's happening there? You've got that little walk up. And then as soon as you put that F down there, by the way, this is making really nice. It's like an F add 9 or an F, like an F major chord with the sharp 11 and the 9, but there's no third. It's just sort of your ear is filling in the rest of the information because those intervals in this melody, well, let me say this, because the melody is so strong, those intervals play together really nice and it sounds pretty to me. So, and this little move here, 8 and 9, and then 10 and 10 on the 10 on with the ring finger on the D string, 10 with the pinky on the B. And then back to this shape. Just think of this shape as a C slid all the way up to the 8th fret where your ring finger's on the 8th fret. It's a really pretty chord by itself. But I'm just playing just the notes I'm touching, literally. So, and then on that, from this chord here, my pinky comes down to where the ring finger is on the 8th fret of the A string, and then index finger covers the D, the G, and the B on the 5th fret. And then this same shape that we did the last time, because it works for this too. Pinky on the 8th fret, just where it was a second ago. Middle finger and ring finger. Middle finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D. Ring finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the G, and then index finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the B. So, or how about? And then you do that again. And then after you do that again, you've got this. That's the toughest part of the tune. That is the toughest part of the tune. And I am a maniac for trying to put that where I did. But I felt like I needed to have that bridge part higher than the end, because at the end I come up to... had to remember it, but you see how that's already way easier. The reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted the first bridge to be higher and therefore a little bit tinier. And then when you get to the second bridge, it feels bigger, because this whole song is this giant crescendo. It is like this wave of emotion that like ends in this big, and there's like, I think they overdubbed cymbal washes. They must have, because there's like whoosh, whoosh. It's really big. If you haven't listened to a while, you should really check it out. Find you a long stretch of highway. Find you a long stretch of highway on a beautiful day. Roll the windows down. You know, no offense. It's a great song, but fast forward till you get to that piano intro and just let that thing go, man, and just let that wash over you. It really, that's what it does that for me. I love it. But you get to this bridge, right? You get this. That's the hardest part for me already. So you got this, not this, but this little, and I'll show you why here in a second. So 8 on the E, doing the same little thing where we're grabbing with our 2 fingers right here. And I'm going 8 and 9 on the high E on the 8th fret, middle finger with my index finger, high E, 8th fret, index finger, middle finger is 9th fret G string, and then ring and pinky come down on the 10th fret of the G in the high E. So, and that's with an A going in the bass, an A note. So. Now this part, all that's happening here is I'm literally playing 2 strings. I'm playing the high E and the low E. The low E is on the D. And that's the hardest part, because you got to slide from that, from the 15th fret or the 13th fret to the 15th fret, so from the F to the G. Right? And then once you get to that G, so 13 to 15, slide, 15, 13, 12, and then once you get to this D, then you hold down the G note on the 10th fret of the A, while holding down the G if you can, so. No, that's not right. Close enough. There it is. All right, so once you get to that G, then you've got 12, 13 on the B string to the 10th fret of the high E. And then this little maneuver, index finger holds down the C on the low E on the 8th fret. And then on the high E, you're going 12 to 15, not 12 to 15, 12 to 13. Counting's hard for me. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I did it. All right. And then you're going to go 12 to 15, 12, 10, 8. And so you're playing F, E, D, C, and then, so that, then to back to that A minor thing, right? One more time, so. You know what? I told you wrong. It's not that, it's G and a B note. Sorry about that. Ignore the last 30 seconds of your life. Welcome back. It's G on the 10th fret of the A, pinky on the 12th fret of the B, and then 12, 13, 10 on that high E. This is just that 8th fret, and then 10 and 10 to 12 on the G and the B again, and then a D major, 10 and 11, and then a D7 where I've got, and so I've got holding down the D on with my 10th fret of the low E, and then everybody switches, and then middle finger comes to the 10th fret of the low E. I know, stay with me, and then D and B on the 10th fret, and then to make the rest of the D7 to really emphasize this melody here, and then we switch back to C and E, 8th fret of the high E, middle finger with index finger, middle finger of the D on the 9th fret, and then your ring finger on the 10th fret of the low E, and then you have this walk down where you basically keep these guys right here, and then you just move your ring finger to the G note of the A. And so you got 8 and 9, 7 and 7. Be careful to not play the F sharp because you'll get this. Not the same thing. And then 10 and 10 here on the D and the B, and then 8 and 9 on the B and the D, right? So, it's like, so on and so forth. So we're a little over 25 minutes in. I feel like this is a part 1. If you want me to write this out, if you want me to explain further, how about this? If you want me to do a part 2, comment. I need to know, because I also want to be helpful to you. And if you're not interested, I would not be offended or have my feelings hurt to move on to something else. So this has been Layla outro, part 1. And we will do a part 2 if we get enough interest. What is enough interest? I don't know. Like, honestly, if wherever there are 2 or 3 gathered together with interest in the outro to Layla, there I will be also. So just write that in there, and I will come up with the part 2 for this. Actually, the part 2 is a lot easier. This is the hard part to me. In fact, some of y'all might even figure it out, and that would be absolutely fine with me, because all I want to do is encourage you. I want to help you be a better guitar player, but also there's so many metaphors hidden inside of music that help you just navigate life, navigate humanity, if nothing else. So hopefully this is a good use of your time. Be encouraged. You know why? You're the most encouraging guitar community out there on the internet, and I appreciate you greatly. Every Saturday morning, 9 a.m., this is where we're going to be. We'll see you next Saturday. Y'all have a good one.